For centuries, the mugger crocodile, India's stealthy freshwater predator, has ruled rivers, lakes, and marshlands from Gujarat to Tamil Nadu. But only recently have we started to understand what truly makes this ancient reptile tick. Over the past decade, Indian scientists have been quietly running one of the most ambitious studies on crocodile behavior in the wild. This isn't just about watching reptiles bask in the sun, it's about decoding their secret lives, where they roam, how they breed, and when they clash with humans, and how they survive in increasingly urbanized landscapes. Turns out, mugger crocodiles aren't mindless man eaters. They are surprisingly adaptable, often living just a few feet away from humans, sometimes in temple ponds, irrigation canals, or city reservoirs. And yes, conflicts does happen, but the data tells a more complex story, one that's helping us move from fear to understanding. And to help us bridge that, we have with us Dr. Brinki Desai. She's basically a real life crocodile detective, the chief scientist at the Mahim Pandi Wildlife Foundation in Kutch, Gujarat, where they lead a cutting edge conservation reserve in India's toughest landscapes, from decoding crocodile stress to identifying individual muggers using drone powered AI. They're bringing science, tech, and community all together to protect our scaly neighbors. Thank you, Dr. Desai, for taking out the time. I'll pass the mic to you.
Thank you, Ananya, for such a lovely introduction. I think I'll start with the presentation. Can we have the, yeah. Yeah. So before I start the presentation, there's a quick question. Whenever general public knows someone who works on wildlife conservation, the first thought that they have in mind is, are they working on tigers or elephant? But rarely someone tries to understand the people who are working on underappreciated species like crocodiles or any other reptiles and amphibians. So one of the reasons that I'm working on crocodiles is because crocodiles are non-charismatic, underappreciated, and they are majorly misunderstood. Basically, crocodiles are the introverts of the animal world. But one of the very interesting thing about crocodiles is the fact that they are a kind of ecological ninjas. They can survive in habitats that you cannot even imagine, from village ponds to temple ponds to reservoirs to even urban city gutters. So before we dive more into the research that I've done on mugger crocodiles, let's first look at the crocodilians that are found in India. So there are three species of crocodilians that are found in India. Mugger crocodile and gharials are the freshwater crocodiles, and saltwater crocodile, as the name says, is a saltwater crocodilian that lives in estuarine regions. Now, estuarine regions are the place where saltwater and freshwater meets. Mugger crocodile is my model organism. One of the reasons is because muggers are like all-rounders. They are found, as I said, they are found in varied types of environments, from rivers, lakes, and temple ponds. Muggers are super adaptable, and they use different mechanism to adapt in these environments, like behavior or their physiology. Gharials are known as fish-eating crocodiles, but recent research on gharials have shown that they eat and hunt more than just fish. Now, saltwater crocodiles have specialized glands that help them survive in saltwater habitats or estuarine habitats. Coming to mugger crocodiles, I get these questions a lot of times, that why am I working on mugger crocodiles? Why not something else like tigers, elephants, or any birds? So one of the reasons when I started working on mugger crocodile was I got to hear this from my mentors, that no one works on these reptiles because they are non-charismatic, they are data deficient, and they cause a lot of human-mugger conflict. So I, during my masters, I started my work with understanding the presence and absence of mugger crocodiles in Vadodara region of Gujarat. So this project was done in collaboration with two local NGOs and Gujarat Forest Department, where we started tracking different villages on the riverbanks, and we started interviewing peoples regarding their interactions with crocodiles. We found out that Vadodara has highest number of human mugger conflicts across India, as far as what's been recorded through Forest Department and news channels. And these crocodiles get into conflict with humans during their when during day-to-day activities like uh, crossing the river bridge, as you can see in the images on left down corner, where you can see that electric pole has been used to cross the river. So these are a very non-safe way to commute river system, but these people do not have any these people at that time did not had any other options. These are the farmers who are trying to cross rivers, uh, taking shortcuts, because if they try to take the long route, half of their day is wasted in traveling, and that costs them a lot, because farmers need to invest a lot of time in their farmlands, watering plants, hewing plants, and so many other things. There was other reason why there were so many attacks on. So males were attacked more during crossing rivers when they used to go to their farmlands, and females were attacked more while washing clothes. Government at that time tried to develop a crocodile exclusion enclosure, which you can see in the left right corner. So these enclosures basically gives safety to humans from crocodile, and at the same time the villagers can also use the river water. However, some of these enclosures were designed in such a way that they become dry during summer season, as the river dries out and the course of the river, water course of the river changes. So some of these enclosures were useless during summer seasons. So this was my initial finding. Some of my data from masters also says that when there were during 2011 to 2025, 2015, there were 70 crocodile attacks on humans just in Baroda city, out of which 35 attacks were fatal. Now 35 is a huge number of fatal attacks. However, the only literature that was present to describe these conflicts suggested that this has to do something with reproduction, because most of these crocodiles attack during reproductive seasons. But again, we don't know which crocodiles are attacking. Are these male crocodiles? Are these female crocodiles? Why are they attacking? Are they trying to protect their young ones, or are they getting irritated with humans in the territory, or are these male crocodiles who are showing their territoriality towards humans? So, to dive deeper in these questions, I started my PhD research on understanding their reproductive behavior and understanding their reproductive hormones, as to how these physiological cycles could or maybe are causing conflicts. Before I started reproductive behavior, we did a very small study on understanding stress indicating hormones in mugger crocodiles. Now, stress in animal worlds work in the similar way that it works in human world. If we are in a stressful situation, our body releases glucocorticoid hormone. It's a hormone that is released under stressful situation. A stressful situation like where a parent is scolding their children, or when a teacher is scolding the student. These are stressful situations. So our body will release certain hormones so that we are able to cope with our immediate environment. Similarly, these crocodiles also release, or these animals also release these hormones to cope up with their immediate environment. Now, these studies have been done in several species, and we wanted to implement this on mugger as well. So during my PhD research, we started working on this particular project. So mugger crocodiles are distributed across 50 small pockets in India. and they live in diverse habitats. If you can see the image on, sorry, I'm sorry, the slide wasn't changed. Yeah. So if you can see the image on left corner, you can see that there are three different drone images. These are taken from three different habitats just within Gujarat. One is an agricultural landscape, one is a polluted city, and one is a desert habitat, semi-arid desert habitat. Now, when these crocodiles are living in such diverse habitats, they are also they are also coping with these environments. And one different thing about crocodilians from other mammals or birds is they are cold-blooded animals, meaning they are constantly dependent on their environment to regulate their body temperature through basking. So even if slightest change in the climate can impact them, very can lay a very great impact on them. So there are different ways where we can try to understand how these crocodilians are coping in so many different environments. One is through physiological parameters, and one is through behavioral parameters. Physiological parameters can include understanding their stress hormone, understanding their reproductive hormone, and behaviors can include their basking behavior and reproductive behaviors. So before we go any further, we wanted to see how these crocodiles are uh, responding to stress in few selected habitats. Like, if imagine being crocodile chilling in a peaceful pond one day, and the very next day it's full of soap suds, sewage, and selfie hunting humans. Yes, people in Gujarat also gather a lot on riverbanks to get selfies with these crocodiles. Now, that can be very stressful for a crocodile. Just like imagine if a crocodile comes to our habitat to get a selfie with us, it would be very stressful for us as well, right? So, we looked at stress hormones in mugger poop. The right corner photo shows a highlighted image of croc scat, which is poop of crocodile. Now, yes, we used poop to identify these particular stress indicating hormones and to see how they are coping. Now, it's a smelly job, but someone has to do it, right? So, these hormone levels tell us a lot about how they cope in these different environments. Uh, we selected three different regions within Gujarat. All these regions are 40 to 50 kilometers away from each other. Now, zone A is, as you can see, the orange pictures. It's a rural area. It's an agricultural landscape. People have cultural importance of mugger crocodile in this region, where mugger is considered a vehicle of Khodiyar Mata, which is one of in which is one of Indian deity. People are highly dependent on water bodies here, and there are only three reported conflicts in this region since 2019. People show high tolerance towards mugger crocodile, and they happily coexist with crocodiles here. There's one of this one NGO called Voluntary Nature Conservancy, who has been working since more than a decade to conserve crocodiles and the peaceful coexistence with people in this region. Now comes the Zone B. Zone B and Zone C are both in Vadodara. It's a different district, and it's a river ecosystem, whereas Zone A was a pond ecosystem. Now, Zone B is an urban area. There are lots of chemical industries that discards industrial water and sewage water in these river water bodies. People have low dependency on this water body because it's highly polluted. There are 10 reported conflicts in this region since 2019, which means this is a high conflict zone, and people show very less tolerance toward coexistence. One of the reasons is abundance of immigrants. So Vadodara is like almost like a metro city. So there is so there is an abundance of immigrants. People migrate to cities often to get their jobs or for their studies. So just imagine a person who has been living for 30 years away from any dangerous animals is suddenly in contact of an apex predator like crocodile in their backyard or around the river bank where they live in their buildings. So it's very difficult for them to coexist with them or to show any tolerance towards crocodiles. Now comes the zone C, which is a downstream of zone B. So basically, whatever polluted water is there in zone B flows through zone C. But zone C is a rural area with agricultural landscape. People here have high dependency on water body. Even though it's polluted, they take their animals to bathe and to drink near the water body. Even to wash their clothes, people go to this water body. And again, due to high conflict, as you can see, there are 12 reported conflicts in this region. People have low tolerance towards coexistence in this region. So zone A is extremely different from zone B and zone C, as zone B and zone C have polluted water bodies and low tolerance towards crocodiles due to high conflict. We wanted to see how stress indicating hormone in these regions are different from each other, or even if they show any difference. So what we saw was zone A, which is Charotar, which is an agricultural landscape, less polluted and less conflict, had low level of glucocorticoid levels compared to zone B and zone C, which were polluted water bodies, and there were high conflict in this region. So you can see here how left is the less polluted water body and right is polluted water body where sewage water is discarded into the river, and there are at least 12 to 15 crocodiles basking in this particular area, also living and breeding in this particular area. And we don't know how these pollution are impacting their, so now we know that it is impacting their stress, but now we don't know if it is impacting their reproduction or is it impacting their egg laying or hatchlings or more. So our study was a very short term study, but and it was random and cross sectional sampling, meaning we collected scats very randomly, whatever we could find on the riverbank, fresh scats, fresh poop, and having a long term monitoring needs to be done on focal individuals, meaning we need to follow one few particular individuals on regular basis to understand how they behave and how they show changes in their stress levels in response to their immediate environment, which could be polluted versus non-polluted. This work has also been published uh, in conservation physiology. Now, we speculated that habitat here plays a larger. Another part of the study was we also tried to look at these hormones in two different seasons. One was breeding season and one was non-breeding season, because we wanted to know if they show difference in their stress hormone in breeding versus non-breeding season. So you can see the blue and orange crop, they represent, one represents breeding and one represents non-breeding for the same region. And you can see that in both the seasons, the hormone levels are same for less polluted and less conflict region, and it is higher in polluted and high conflict region in breeding or non-breeding season. So this basically shows that habitat here is playing a larger role than their biological state. And this shows that this needs a long-term study to understand how these hormones are impacting their reproduction and their behavior, because indirectly they also show the ecological health of that particular region where humans are also living and humans are also using that particular water. In order to do long-term monitoring, people have used a lot of different monitoring methods, like tagging them using satellite tags or radio collars. However, when I started my work, it was a COVID period, and it was very difficult to get permissions to tag animals. Apart from that, whenever animals are tagged, they experience stress stressful atmosphere, which can impact their reproductive behavior and hormones, which can again impact understanding of their behavior and hormones. So we tried to come up with a method which was a non-invasive method. Now, this particular method was developed using drone images, where the drone images captures the dorsal body, which you can see in the image here, and this particular images captures the scutes on the dorsal body. Now, these particular scutes are different from one individual to the other individual. So these particular scutes are basically bony plates on the top of, like, on the top of the crocodile's body, which helps them which helps us in identifying one individual different from the other individual. So we collected data using drone, where drone was rotated on the dorsal body of the crocodile in circular motion to collect data. Can we have the video, please? So this is how we rotated the drone on the dorsal body of the crocodile to collect different images. The reason for doing it in a circular motion was, whenever crocodiles are basking, one of like half of their body is always shows shades and it's darker. So when we collect it in a circular motion, we get images from different angles, which can help in making the AI algorithm more robust to identify individuals. Now, to make it more simpler for you guys, this biometric system is just like having Aadhaar card for crocodiles. Just the same way we have a thumb for human, thumbprint for human Aadhaar cards. We have this biometric system developed for crocodiles, where we can identify one individual from different individual. Every time we can go to crocodile habitats, we can take photos of crocodiles, we can note down their behavior, we can collect the scats of that particular animal, we can come back to our lab, and we can then ID that which particular crocodile was this, using the AI algorithm that has been developed at the lab. Now, my work so far has developed a strong, robust baseline data on mugger crocodiles, where we did community survey to understand the human mugger conflict. Now we have the behavior and physiology, where we are understanding reproductive hormones, stress indicating hormones, reproductive behavior, and uh, and we also developed a biometric system using individual identification method. So now one can go to the wild habitat, use these different parameters to do long-term monitoring for focal individual, and understand behavior and reproduction on daily basis under different habitats. One could be agricultural landscape, one could be polluted landscape, and this all work is currently being done at the lab from where I did my PhD, and they are looking towards all these parameters and trying to understand mugger crocodiles in a way that has never been understood so far. So the large picture of this particular biometry system and the reproductive hormone was, we want to understand why these human crocodile conflicts are taking place in reproductive season. What exact time is does this coincide with? Does it coincide with male mating with female? Are these attacks by male during showing territorial behavior, or are these attacked by females while protecting their eggs or while protecting their hatchlings? But for this, we need to understand the entire picture happening behind the scenes, like their behavior and their reproduction. So which can then further help. So suppose they act, so these crocodile attacks are happening. This is just a assumption scenario that these crocodile attacks maybe are taking place when females are protecting their eggs, and at that time females are highly aggressive and they show they attack humans during that period. at that particular period which hormone is showing a peak, and that particular hormone can be used as an indicator across several villages. We could collect scats across several villages and see that if that particular hormone is present in their scats, meaning that particular female is protecting the eggs or it is protecting the hatchling. And people should be aware using those tests that please do not go to the river bank right now, because crocodiles are mating, crocodiles are trying to protect their babies, or crocodiles are trying to protect their eggs. So we should stay far away from the water body. So this was the large picture of the work that I have done so far. Um, so I will not share more information on their reproductive behavior, because I think I've shared a lot of knowledge to think about, and we can get overwhelmed with more knowledge, and we might need space to process whatever we have learned so far. But these crocodiles are amazing to understand reproduction. I mean, just like birds and mammals, they also have a very unique mating procedure or the mating process that they show. Males have been seen to make a display to attract females, which has been studied during my PhD. So I would just like to show you a small clip of the display that the male does. So basically, what you saw right now was a male mugger. It takes a certain posture, which is called head out, tail out posture, which is when the head and the tail of the crocodile is out in an arc position and the belly is submerged in the water. They make one loud vocalization, which is followed by one small vocalization, and then they go inside the water and then they make bubbles. This is one display that has been consistently shown by male muggers during my study. And there are several other behaviors that are shown after this by both males and females, which leads to mating. So basically, by understanding their stress level, behavior, and identity, we can design better conservation plans, rescue protocols, and may even convince policymakers that muggers do matter. And we can bring real world changes that can help humans coexist better with these crocodilians. Now, science is never a one woman show. So a lot of people have been involved in making this project successful. So I would like to thank all my amazing lab mates, mentors, field helpers, drone techies, poop collectors, because yes, without them the project would not have been possible, and to every single intern who have worked in the project, and to all the amazing keepers who helped collect these scats during the study. Thank you. I can take questions now.
All right, Dr. Desai, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Usually, as humans, we misunderstand only those who we don't have like information about. So, as you said during your presentation, it's so important to like understand more about the muggers so that we don't misunderstand them. We're able to coexist with them as we have to. What really I found interesting was that you've been using drones to identify individual crocodiles, as you called it, like the Aadhaar card of crocodiles, which is very funny. So I want to ask you, how did you come up with that idea? And is there something like a weird or something like unexpected that you found through this process?
So this particular study was inspired by the work done on American crocodile. which has been done by one of the very wonderful scientist, Dr. Sergio. So what he tried to do was he captured 300 crocodiles on an island, and he manually counted the scutes. So if you see the scutes of on the dorsal body, they are in lines, in vertical and horizontal lines. So they counted the scutes and they used binary coding. So wherever the scutes are present, they will write 1, and wherever the scutes are absent, they will write 0. In this way, they coded all these 300 crocodiles manually, and they found out that each and every individual had a different pattern. So my supervisor and myself were brainstorming about the ideas that how we can replicate this in a non-invasive way. So even in the paper itself, they've said that in future drones could be used to identify these crocodiles. So then we started working on this project to identify individual crocodile using drones. And a lot of important people from Ahmedabad University have been involved in making this project a very huge success, because I am from biology background and not from coding background. So a lot of people who our co-authors on the paper have been a huge contributors to this particular project.
Right. Also, Dr. Desai, you are working in one of the driest parts of India, right? Studying an aquatic animal, which is so interesting. I want to ask you, like, in fact, the India map that also you pulled out showing where most of the mugger crocodiles are situated, apart from the coastal regions, many of them are dry regions. How do they adapt to like a dry place like Gujarat and other places? And like, what have you understood through their journey?
So one of the very important phenomena that is needed in day-to-day life for a crocodile is basking. They need to bask. Now we don't know how they are changing these particular behaviors to adapt. And Dr. Ratna Goshal's lab, my supervisor, they're trying to understand these large questions by putting a lot of pieces together, that how are they trying to survive in these environments. Are they trying to change their behavior? Are they trying to change their feeding habits? But we need to do long term studies, like actual research long term studies on these particular crocodiles. But one thing I would like to share is that these crocodiles are vulnerable according to IUCN's red list. So they do not fall under critically endangered or endangered species, which makes it very difficult to get government funding or international funding for these crocodiles. But it is also very important to study them, because they are the only ones, like in compared to gharial and saltwater crocodiles, which live in very small pockets. Like gharials, the main population is of gharials in India is found in Chambal Sanctuary, which is on tri-junction of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh. And saltwater crocodiles are found on eastern coast and Andamans. While mugger crocodiles are, as you saw in the map, it is widely distributed. So
Yeah.
it is very important to study them, how they are adapting to these different environments using behavior and hormones. But again, as I said, it needs long-term study. Someone needs to study them for quite a few years to understand how they are coping with this changing environments. 1 year is never enough to understand how. You can only study the climatic change, how they are adapting from monsoon to winter to summer,
Yeah.
but you cannot understand how they are adapting to like hotter climates. With every passing years, we constantly see how temperatures are rising. So what different strategies are these crocodiles using to adapt in these environments?
All right, Dr. Desai, thank you so much for this presentation. And I hope all our viewers who have been watching this learn a little more than what they knew about mugger crocodiles and crocodiles in general than yesterday. Thank you.
I just like to add at the end that crocodiles are not monsters. I mean, they are just our misunderstood neighbors. We just need to understand them better to coexist well with them.
All right. Thank you so much.